welcome back to the Unstuck movement, true testimonies of breakthrough. I'm your host, Rob Z, and I love to dive into these episodes with a powerful question right off the bat to get right into the heart of things. We have the incredible Rogelio Diaz on the platform today. I'll get into more of what he's about in just a second, but I want to get into a question for him right away because he's all about truth. And I know in life, truth is so important, to tell the truth, to be living from truth. We hear this all the time, but oftentimes in life, telling the truth and being truthful can be one of the most difficult things that we do. Now, Rogelio, I can't wait to hear your story on this, but I want to start off just with how has you deciding to tell the truth transformed your life?
Thank you for having me, Rob. It's created a whole new perception about myself and what's possible for me. And I mean, I'm the truth will set you free, as they say, right?
Yeah.
It's enabled me to really find who I actually am and not who I was conditioned to be, not who I been told to be and defined and have been defined my whole life as, right? It's it's enabled me to really live out this purpose that I came here to do and help so many just find, because I was able to find my truth, who I was. I'm able to help others do the same for themselves.
Yeah, until we can do that for us, it's really hard to help anybody else to do that, right? It's almost impossible because how are you going to be able to guide somebody in that if you're not being that for yourself? So this platform, this purpose that it was created was to help people find breakthrough in their life. So if you're watching or listening to this right now, we tell these stories to know that breakthrough is possible for you wherever you're stuck in life. We need to have that breakthrough in our life. We need to have the truth come to us in our lives so we can experience those breakthroughs. That's why this is the Unstuck movement, to get you unstuck and to get you moving. The platform is brought to you by the Connected Leaders Academy. Check out connectedleadersacademy.com. Rogelio Diaz is a high-performance coach and spiritual development speaker, empowering individuals to break through the limits and embrace personal transformation. He helps high achievers unlock their potential for a fulfilling and impactful life. So who were you before you had this breakthrough in your life? Talk about the Rogelio that used to exist before the truth came into the picture.
Yeah, Rob, I was a completely different person. At the age of 22, I was just living your typical mediocre regular life. I was working at UPS. I was living with my parents. I was playing basketball and working out, and just no real purpose, no real meaning to my life at that point. And I was going out every weekend, partying, popping stuff. I was going nowhere in so many ways. I unconsciously felt like a disappointment to my parents. I felt like a failure. I felt like a loser. I had a lot of unhealed trauma that I didn't even know of. I was an alcoholic. Got cheated on. I got a DUI. Talk about the stack, of life, right? I was hit. I was hit hard that year, and I even ended up getting an MRI, and I had two slip discs from an injury at work, a UPS. So it broke me. It broke me in so many ways. And I went to sleep one night for whatever reason. This question popped up while I was drunk, while I was under the influence. Is this going to be the rest of my life? And in that time, I was just so fed up with the way everything was going. I hit rock bottom. I Enough was enough, so to speak. And the question came in, and I said no. I said no. And even again, in that moment, I decided that I was going to learn one new thing, just one, every day, to improve myself, to better my life, to make sure that I didn't feel how I felt in that moment ever again.
Mm.
Next day, I woke up, I went to the gym. The gym was the only thing that was really giving me purpose at that time. Like, there's some kind of feeling of um, meaning. I went to the gym, I got back home, and I lost all my friends at that time. And I came across this video, Rob, called "Why I Have No Friends" on YouTube. It's first one of the first videos that popped up. I'm like, perfect. Let's start here. Clicked it. Little did I know that was going to be my introduction to personal development, my very first mentor, in a 2 year lifelong, 2 year learning journey. And I started to find myself. I started to actually believe that I could be more than what I was. And just one YouTube video, one piece of wisdom got me that momentum, and I started to learn more and more every day. Wow, hey, my beliefs, I have beliefs that run the show. I have a perception of myself that is not working in my favor. All these things that were negative, I had a victim's mentality. I wouldn't take responsibility for certain things. I didn't see my potential. I was living a lie in so many ways because I didn't know my truth. I didn't know what I could really do. You know, I didn't know I could have my own business, any of that stuff. But through that, I through mentorship, through guidance, learning every day, audiobooks, courses, for about 3 years, I really began to see what I can do, and it led me to my very first purpose of being a personal trainer and having my own studio and doing having a business partner that I found while getting my personal training diploma. That was really my starting point, Bob.
Mm. So, congratulations, by the way. I love it, man. I just love it because that breakthrough is everything. And having one of those moments that does speak to you, is there more for me? Is this all it's gonna be? Is this all it's ever gonna be? Right? Paying attention to that. Because I mean, I think throughout my life I had that said to me hundreds of times in my head. And I would ignore it a lot. But then as time goes on and you're not making the changes you need to make, at least in my situation, that voice kept getting louder and much more aggressive in the fact of like, hey, something needs to be done here. You got to move. So I love that, man, because that is such a integral part of the journey is paying attention to that still small voice of being like, all right, there's more here than what I'm doing. And I know I got to like break free of this thing. When you were going through, this journey, because I know this is where a lot of people get stuck also in this place, right? You're finding these breakthroughs, you're finding these mentors online, and you're making yourself kind of like renewing yourself, watching this content, learning these new things. We can also get stuck there too, in comparison of the people that we're learning from, and not we're improving, but we're not finding ourselves. How did you start to really find yourself through all of that, right? Because we can try to be like other people so much, but until we really step into, well, what am I supposed to be doing? Who am I supposed to be being? What are my gifts? What was I created for? We might still not feel that satisfaction or that fulfillment that we're looking for. How did you start to figure out who you, Rogelio, was supposed to be compared to anybody else that you were paying attention to?
Love that. It took some time. It was not immediately. I was trying to put myself in a box. I was trying to put myself again, like you said, you model people that you look up to. I thought everybody was better than me. I thought I had no even after all that, I thought I had no real value to offer. There were so many wounds of unworthiness and just feeling inadequate to share, and all these reasons why I couldn't. Right, I wasn't qualified, and what really it was such a journey to really see, wow, okay, this is who I actually am underneath all that coding from mentors, from knowledge, right? Like it's yeah, people do get stuck in there. And I think when I started to really question the beliefs that I held, the stories that I held, and I stopped doing what everybody else was doing.
Hmm.
I stopped trying to speak like them. I stopped trying to be in their niche. I stopped trying to model them in a sense. I realized I don't even like I used to be very, very into the spiritual community, Rob. And when I actually gave myself some time to step away from the business, to step away from that community, I realized at heart I'm very old school personal development. Like I love the grit. I love talking about resilience and talking about having stamina when it comes to life and to keep going and inspiring people. But all that was kind of hidden from trying to do what worked as well, right? But what worked for my mentors, what worked for other people. And it wasn't until but I had to go through all that. right? It wasn't until I went through that journey, I went through all that, that I actually started peeling away all that, and I found what really lit a fire in me, what I really enjoyed talking about, and my purpose. It it was different. It was different, and as I healed as well, I did a lot of healing over the last couple of years. I got this with that. I got to see who Rogelio is,
Mm.
right, and who I wanted to be and where I wanted to go, and I stopped giving my power away in that sense, and I started spending more time with just myself. And you know, there's a time for mentors, there's a time for guidance, but there's also a time for you just to get to know yourself, and that could last a couple months, it could last a year. It depends, but through healing, through having honest, raw conversations with myself and questioning beliefs, and even the work that I'm doing, if it's a replica or if I'm just, doing other things that were programmed into me, by really questioning and being honest with myself, I found my truth and what I wanted to do.
What did that lead you to? So obviously, like I said at the onset of this, as far as what you do, on a day to day basis, high performance coach. But who who are you? What did you find? Right, the real essence of like who you are. What did it come down to that maybe was hidden that showed up for you during this time?
I found that I'm a big believer in integrity. I'm a big believer in empowerment. I I was so much more than I thought I was from when I started this journey, right? I have a lot of compassion. I realized that there really are no limitations to what I can do, and it was so freeing to see what I wasn't. It was so freeing to really have feel like I was in control of my life, right? Or
Mhm.
I'm in control of my life. Like it really, in so many ways, Rob. It really showed me just how much I lead from my heart, and I really want to be an example to anyone who's lost hope, or anyone that hit rock bottom. Like, I just want to be that person that people see and they like, wow, like he's still going. I can still
Mhm.
keep going. And after the stuff that I've been through, so a lot of I found out I have a lot of resilience and a lot of stamina for life.
Going back to the word integrity, what does it, because integrity is such a, it's my number one value, man. And I just really feel like if we are intentional about being integrous in our life, things are going to drastically change if we truly live from what like integrity is. What does it mean for you to be integrous for yourself? Like, what does that look like on a daily basis?
Speaking the truth, keeping your word, going the extra mile for your clients, for yourself, and most importantly, just doing the right thing, Rob. Always doing the right thing, whether it's getting that refund back, whether it's and that's something that I really learned when I was a personal trainer. Do the right thing, do the right thing, and it's going to take care of itself as well. But I'm a big believer in doing what you said you were going to do, you know, and keeping that. And for me, that shows a lot of character, and you you really, for me, and that's a big role in integrity for me, and just, like just being honest, and all those things.
Yeah, it's such a simple concept that can be really difficult to do, right? Keeping promises to yourself, keeping promises to other people. Sure, who doesn't want to do that? But man, it can be really, really difficult because who we want to be, who we know we should be, and who we are can be a pretty big gap. But as we close that gap, we start to step into who we really are, right? And the more we can hold ourselves to that fire, hold ourselves to a certain standard, man, we just get so much better, and you get better people in your life. You get better opportunities, and life just gets better in general, because you're no longer hiding from things that need to be addressed, or hiding from things that maybe you're ashamed of, or whatever it might be, or hiding from subjects or topics that need to be brought up with people or yourself. Man, when you start to break down those barriers and those walls, things really start to transform and start to change. And right now, so we got to jump in 60 seconds to shout out the sponsor of the show. But when we come back, I love talking about people's favorite quotes and digging into like what these mean for us. The one that you had given me when we were getting ready for this episode was, "We are what we pretend to be, so we must be careful about what we pretend to be." That's an interesting quote, because should we be pretending to be other people, and what does that look like when it actually happens for us in our life? So I want to dive deeper into that quote. Who were you pretending to be, and who are you intentionally being now? Let's get into that in 60 seconds.
Hi, my name is Jose Escobar, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Connected Leaders Academy. We're a growing tribe, a community of entrepreneurs all over the world, globally, all across the country, high performers, titans of industry. If you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to grow personally and professionally, scale your influence, develop your skill sets, move the needle in your business, more clients, more money, more profit, the bottom line, and of course, grow your circle and your network like never before, this is where you want to be. Join the Connected Leaders Academy today. We are scaling massively. We want to welcome you in. Check me out on Instagram and on Facebook, the @ JAESCO25. We look forward to having you join us. Take care.
So Rogelio, let's talk about this, man. That quote, "We are what we pretend to be, so we must be careful about what we pretend to be," from Kurt. I don't know how to say that dude's last name.
Yeah, it's okay.
Vonnegut. I'm gonna go with it. Talk about that a little bit, man. Who are you pretending to be?
Yeah, when you as the deeper you go into that quote, it makes a lot of sense. Who I was, and I asked this to my clients as well. Are you truly who you pretend to be? I was pretending to be the alcoholic, the failure, the loser, the disappointment, the low self worth, right? The person that I didn't have nothing special about me. I was just living a mediocre life. I was pretending to be. I even thought I was a bad son. I was pretending to be the bad son. I was pretending to be just this kid in so many ways, right? This kid that couldn't hold himself accountable, that couldn't take care of himself, that needed mom and dad to help him. And it wasn't even who I actually was, Rob.
Mm.
And that's why the more you dig, you take the mask off, right? Even you can even do this when you get so entangled with your job, right? With your career, like you think that's all you have, and there's so much more, right? So when you see that the mask, when you see that this version that you pretend to be, it's actually very flawed. It's actually very when you really go into it, like this version of you is actually very unreal. You start to see your truth because it takes you. If you look a little bit to the right side over here, you might actually start seeing who you are, and maybe you're not the traumas. Maybe you don't. Maybe you can trust again, and the reason that you can is because you got screwed over, or you got cheated on, or this. You're not that alcoholic, right? I thought that's what I thought I was. No, I just had unresolved stuff. So when you're honest with yourself, are you truly not enough? Right? Are you truly not enough for what you want? That's a BS story, And it's like when you see that, when you have that transparency with yourself, and you go to the raw truth, and you're willing to have that come to Jesus conversation, or just raw conversation with yourself. Am I right? 'Cause if I was a failure, I remember I had a conversation with myself. Like, if I was a failure, would I have drove to a spiritual retreat 4 years ago for 4 days, drove there from Chicago, Illinois, and decided to never go back? Would I have helped small business owners, six-figure entrepreneurs? transform their whole life, right? And make a difference. Spoken on stages, what I have done, X, Y, and Z, everything that completely disproves who we pretend to be.
Mm.
And I think when you can see that, lean on that, right? That truth, it completely destroys these beliefs and these stories that you have about who you pretend to be.
Yeah, it's really true, because you can be in many situations where it seems like, uh, you can look at things two different ways. Like, we can look through the lens of different perspectives in our life of what we don't have, right? So that comparison always leaves us with what we don't have, which robs us of what we do have right now. And that's it's such a lie, right? It's such a lie, because if you stop and, like, I'm here, you're here, right? We're still doing this life thing, and we have an intention to continue to grow, continue to get better, to find, find the next level for ourselves. That's such a victory in itself, right? It's such a victory. And so I'm kind of hearing what you're saying about this pretending thing, right? Flipping it around, like, because oftentimes imposter syndrome is like, I say I'm this person, but inside I don't really feel like I am. So it's like I'm pretending to be successful. But if you flip that around, like you were saying about, you were pretending to be an alcoholic, you're pretending to be these things, right? Like, we are this higher version of ourselves, and we're pretending to be less than that because we don't believe in who we truly are. That's a really interesting quote, because I've never thought about it that way. I've never thought about, okay, these versions of me that, I really don't like about myself, I say that that's who I actually am. But that's not true. That's not who I am. I'm just pretending to be that person because this is the script I'm running off of. But I truly want to be this much more advanced, higher version of myself. And I really I think that's a really cool way of looking at that. And I've never put that into my head that way before. So I challenge anybody out there who's watching or listening to flip that on its head, flip that around to, like, these versions of you that you don't like, these things about you don't like, you're pretending to be that. Be the real, true, authentic version of yourself. And I know the word authentic, it's thrown around so much, right? But be the high version of yourself, the integrity centered version of yourself. And you're going to find so much more about you, man. I absolutely love that quote. And I'm glad you went into explaining that a little bit, because I just got a brand new understanding that I never even had before of how to use that pretending, how to flip that imposter syndrome on its head. I love that. What price
Awesome.
for you in pursuing your dreams? What price did you have to pay?
A lot more than I thought, Rob. A lot more. I really underestimated what it would take. And like I said, it was a whole other version of me when I started. And it always takes longer, and it always takes more than what you think it will. I I didn't know that I was going to have to sacrifice time with, or have to really, it felt like sacrificing my family in a sense, because I wasn't there with them anymore. Right. When I left, I was planning on going back. When I went to that retreat, I was planning on going back to Chicago, and I I didn't. So I had to have that conversation with my mom, and I'm like, "Your son's not coming back. I've been living with you, my whole life," and that hurt. That pierced. Going from every day, seeing your sisters, seeing my family, my aunts, uncles, to I'm all the way over here in Sedona, Arizona now, and I can't. I don't know the next time I'm going to see you. I don't know. I have to do this, right. And I went from, even now, I went from seeing them every day, and time's passing, right? The candle of life is still burning every day for me, for my parents. And I went from seeing them every day to once, twice a year.
Mhm.
And it's hard. I think that was the biggest thing that was challenging for me to really come to peace with that, and know that I had to do this. But I also I lost friends. I think more than anything though, Rob, the biggest price that I paid in a good way was leaving the old me,
Mm.
who I was in Chicago, still even with that, like I was still battling alcohol. I had a 5-year relationship that I was not happy with, and I didn't have the courage to break her heart in a sense and say we're done. So I kept it was on and off, and a couple of days before the retreat, I ended up saying, I can't. This is the time. So I had to hop on that call, and I broke off the 5-year relationship. That was crazy. Never thought I'd have the courage for that, just because we've been through so much too. But it was really, and again, so many, with all that being said, the alcohol, my family, the ex, everything that I used to be was the price for this new version, this new life that I
Mhm.
wanted to start.
Since you've started this new life, what has shown up in your life that you didn't expect? Like, what's something that, like, hits you blindsided? It could be a great thing, it could be a bad thing, but, like, something in your life that, because you chose this new life, came at you and just completely changed things for you.
Could talk about that all day, Rob. So many surprises, so many unexpected things. I think the biggest thing that I've learned, and it's gonna sound cliche, but kind of going back to what I was sharing earlier, the resilience that I have that I didn't even
Mm,
know I had. I was comfortable with my parents. I had food. I didn't have to pay rent. I didn't have to do any of that. Right. But I've been so close to having, like, in the past, right? Like when I was beginning, and I'm like, this is the opportunity. This is the opportunity that's going to take me to where I want to. It's going to take me to the next level. Right. And it wouldn't work out for whatever reason. A couple of times like that. And it brought me to just seeing, like, and I would give up, and I would be like, "No, it must not be meant for me." Right? I'm trying, it's not working out. I'll even after that, like, I'll get a job, I'll do something normal, and then we'll see what happens later. But I realized just how much resilience, strength I had, and also just taking 100% responsibility, in the sense of, don't ex if just because, everybody has a different come up story. Some
mhm.
people, they get into an audience with people that are already successful, and they they build that way. That's the step in, so to speak. But I never got that. So I had to find a way. I had to DM people. I had to get in front of people. Like, um it really showed me how much I could lead myself, in every opportunity that I thought I needed. I didn't. I was able to do it, figure it out by myself, and that's what it was such a gift. In hindsight, it all was such a gift that I never got anything. I didn't get it handed to me. I didn't, right, say, "Hey, all right, here are your 20 clients. Go get them." I did all the work for you. Like, no, I I had to go in the trenches. Had to work. I even did Uber Eats for some time. Like, I was willing to pay whatever was necessary, and because of that, again, I found the resilience, and I saw that, what, it's up to me. It's up to me in so many ways.
Yeah, man, I love that, because the resiliency, life is an adventure. I really believe, like, we got to throw ourselves into the adventure to find out what we're truly made of. And you don't know what you're truly made of until your back's against the wall. And when you go off on a journey of, especially when you go off into the entrepreneur kind of journey of, like, I'm going to build my business and do things my way, uh, the personal development requirement, it becomes very apparent, right? I can only go as far as I can personally develop, and that builds this resiliency in of, like, I'll do anything to make it happen. I'm going to keep going. And like you're saying, dude, most people stop, most people give up. But for me, and it sounds like for you, I was like, well, what am I gonna do? Give up? What do I do? Go get a job? Like, well, then what? What am I? How would I stop doing this thing now that I've been doing it for 7 or 8 years? It doesn't even make any sense. I don't even know where to begin. So, like you said, going back to Uber Eats, like, sure, maybe you got to, like, suck it up, and your pride takes a hit for a minute, but it doesn't mean you're off the journey. It doesn't mean you're going to stop. So I love that. I absolutely love that, because that resiliency is so important. And it just continues to build on itself. So you can never go wrong with it. As long as you're staying true to yourself, right? And as long as you're telling the truth, like that is a really key integral part of that, man. Love the fact that you've done this and found this breakthrough for yourself. And I want to make sure as people are watching this, they can go to your website, RogelioDiaz.com, RogelioDiaz.com/resources. If they go to your resources page, they have a free audio book, The One Guide, designed to help anybody express a more authentic version of themselves, reach a new level of inner trust, and also find the ability to guide themselves through the darkest moments with ease and with grace. I love that. Anything else you want to say about that audiobook? People can grab that right now at your website in the resources section.
Just the title is, don't miss out on the title, guys. Like, you are the one guide. And that's why I called it that. Not me, not anyone else, but you are the one guide. That's all.
Amazing. Good stuff. Well, thank you, sir, for being on here. I really appreciate it. This platform is for breakthrough, and I love hearing your story of how you broke through. Anything you want to leave the audience with before we sign off?
Those 2 words that you said at the end, Rob. Please, if you have a dream, if you have a mission, a purpose, do not sign yourself off. Just don't. See how far you can take it. Find out. Give yourself a chance. See just what you can do, what's possible for you. And like Rob said, what else do we have better to do anyway? Like if you put in time, if you have this knowing, please go out and see what you can do, and at least give yourself what so many don't, a fighting chance.
Yeah, no doubt. Rogelio, thank you for being a part of the Unstuck movement. This has been another true testimony of breakthrough.